Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Q&Play, my monthly Q&A series where I answer your questions in a rambly, unscripted format. The first question comes from Kjfungirl. What did you do for your birthday? Did you take some time to relax, or did you do something new or exciting? I am not a new or exciting person. I went out drinking with my friends, we hopped to a couple bars, and then we went back to their place to do karaoke. We were gonna go to a karaoke bar, end the night with 3 bars under our belt, but unfortunately, on a Monday night, every karaoke bar in our area was rented out, and we were just too lazy to go outside of our town. I mean, my god, I get that there's not too many karaoke bars where we're at, but on a Monday night, every place being rented out, and we didn't even have that big of a party. There's only 6 of us. Couldn't find a single room. Crazy. But in any case, yes, I had a lot of fun on my birthday. It was great. I hung out with a few groups of friends throughout the week just because of scheduling stuff, and I had a good time. I had a good break. It was wonderful. I also got a lot done on the D&D front, a lot of brand new lore written down, primarily around the species and races of my world. I made sure to expand all those just because I thought that the lore before was really bare bones, and I had a surprising amount of fun doing this. I mean, I didn't expect it, but it was actually really great to get more of this lore written down and to start tying it into Draw Steel because I'm getting ready to play that for my next main campaign. So yeah, that's all really exciting. Question from hummingbirdwof. What is the worst decision one of your D&D characters made? Also, what is the D&D horror story that sticks with you the most? Okay, the worst decision? I mean, that's kind of hard to parse since I actually have pretty smart characters, all things considered, or at least smart players, when it comes to making decisions in game. Very rarely do I find myself thinking, wow, this person is a complete idiot. Some people make mistakes in combat, burn a turn and a cantrip that they miss for no reason, even though they have spell slots left, and plenty of them. That sometimes frustrates me, especially if the player goes on to complain about how impossible and difficult the combat is, because I'm thinking in my head, you have the resources to solve the problems that are put in front of you. You're just conscientiously not using them for some reason. That is annoying, though I think you're talking more about story decisions, and in that case, nothing really comes to mind. There are definitely times where players made unexpected choices, like when in the 10th Tomb actual play, Fall Cosplay as Cleo betrayed an NPC the party were trying to save. That was certainly unexpected, but was it a bad decision? Hell no. It was amazing, an amazing roleplay opportunity for everybody involved. So yeah, I just can't say with confidence that my players have made many dumb decisions. And as for me, I don't get to play much, and I like to think I'm pretty smart, so I also don't think I make many dumb decisions. As for horror stories that stick with me, I mean, the classic will always be the airship story. It was one of the first RPG horror stories I ever read or listened to on Crit Crab's channel. I did a remake of it on this channel. I kind of want to do another one complete with skits and stuff, just because the style of this channel has evolved so much, so I might remake the airship again one day. So yeah, that horror story definitely sticks with me. It is gone from Reddit though, which is a shame. One of these days I'm gonna need to get a transcription made just so I can do it properly. But besides that, as for horror stories that I've covered, I think the one that's going to stick in my brain for a long time will be one from my comment section, the guy who wanted to disprove my asexuality. That story was wild and even got into parasocial range. Like, I put part of the comment thread in a video which featured Will from D&D Shorts, and one of my favorite skits I've ever made. It was so good. But yeah, the whole situation was kind of spiraling out of control in a way I'm not really comfortable discussing. However, the initial part where the guy was trying to prove that asexuality is like a min-maxing strategy, that was funny. That's what I put in the video, and that's what I'm gonna choose to keep in my head. Hey Crispy, I want to ask about any easily accessible yet challenging TTRPGs. I've tried so many, but they aren't piquing my interest. Well, thank God for One Last Fight. This video is sponsored by One Last Fight. You might not be aware of this, but I love a good roguelike. And this one is a great roguelike. It's a card-based role-playing game where 1 to 4 players journey to defeat their final nemesis, or die trying. Just like any tabletop game, you create your backstories together, you create your own nemesis together, and you work together to overcome a gauntlet of challenges and epic moments until your big boss fight. This game's extensive deck of cards promises so many epic challenges for you to participate in, as well as plenty of both character and nemesis options. Look, One Last Fight gives me everything I want out of a tabletop game. It's got plenty of crunchy combat, but also lots of storytelling opportunities that allows everyone at the table to participate in a truly epic series of battles. If you guys want to start your legendary battle with your own nemesis, you can head down into the description down below or to the pinned comment so that you can pick up One Last Fight from Hit Point Press. Thank you so much to Hit Point Press for sponsoring today's video. As always, supporting our sponsors does support us. And without further ado, I'm going to get back to your question. Question from ToastButter4952. Are you going to do any more cosplay things like your Amity outfit? I want to one day do Mizu from Blue Eye Samurai, though I have been struggling to get the outfit all together. I've got most of like the hair, makeup, accessories from the neck up, so I guess I could do a cos test. But a full cosplay, that's gonna take some doing. I can't sew, I'm not a DIY dude, I mostly thrift my costumes. And thrifting Mizu's outfit I thought would be possible, but my orders all got canceled, so that just really discouraged me. As for this year, I put out a teaser yesterday, but I'm planning on cosplaying a modern, witchy goth take on God's favorite princess from Baldur's Gate 3. I know I'm basically giving away the whole boat, but I'm gonna leave it up to you guys to just get hyped up for it. I'm really excited too. Question from MGMan15. Have you tried the Draw Steel backer packet? I directed 2 sessions with it, and it is totally amazing, totally up your alley. There will be another kit for Patreon coming out in October. I'm looking forward to it. I am really looking forward to Draw Steel. I have really immersed myself in the rules. I've run some solo tests of the system, basically just playing against myself to see how everything works. And it works really, really well. I love a lot of the content here. If you're unaware, Draw Steel is the game being developed by MCDM, creators of my beloved Flea Mortals, and they have essentially taken that same action tactical philosophy and expanded it to the entire game. I am really impressed by the player options they've so far put out. The combat seems way more fun. There's way more emphasis on abilities rather than gearing. There's way less just I attack, roll. You instead choose how you attack. There's also way less emphasis on spell slots and resources like that recharge on a long rest. Instead, you start out the combat with a lesser amount of heroic resources, like, for example, piety for the cleric, aka the conduit, and over the combat, you can grow the amount of piety you have to use more big wow abilities. Instead of combat getting more stale and more boring the longer it goes on, with you being able to do less abilities and do less cool stuff because you blew it all in the first turn, instead you build up to it using tactics, and that is really awesome. I also love how much movement is emphasized and how much teamwork is emphasized. Matt Colville loves using this particular scene in The Avengers where Iron Man shoots a laser at Captain America, the laser reflects and hits all the dudes. Yeah, he loves that scene. That is the design philosophy of this game. They're taking that energy and putting it into everything. So much of this game is based around the team working together. And I think that that is a much better philosophy than what I find a lot of TTRPGs have, where oftentimes each person's kind of just like doing their own thing. My biggest issues so far are with the director chair, aka the game master. I have a whole video I want to do one of these days where I talk about Draw Steel, but my biggest issues are pretty minor. For starters, I think director is a bad name for a game master. I think they need to go back to game master, man. Director just doesn't hit the same as like storyteller from Vampire, dungeon master from Dungeons and Dragons, or lore keeper from Call of Cthulhu. Director, it's just, it's not for me. I'm just gonna call myself the game master or the dungeon master. I also think this book needs more formatting. I mean, holy crap, the plain white Google Docs looking PDFs are doing this game no favors in terms of readability, at least for me. I just get sucked into the page and lose myself. But yeah, obviously that's going to be fixed in the final release. These are honestly pretty small criticisms. I also have a minor concern over how mechanical some aspects of roleplay are. So far, I'm really impressed. Instead of adding limits to roleplay in terms of mechanics, they add rewards. Like, for example, during negotiations, if you successfully identify what the villain's motivation is, you can get actual mechanical bonuses in the negotiation. There's also a lot that's left up to the GM and the players, which is the way it should be done. I really don't like when roleplay is so unnecessarily bound to convoluted rules. Like, so many games think that this fixes roleplay. It doesn't. It makes it harder. So far, though, they've avoided that trap. I'm really impressed with the playtest package so far. It looks really fun, really tactical. It looks like it's not going to be something for the faint of heart. Newbies to TTRPGs probably aren't going to get into this game. But for those of you who want a more tactile aspect to the combat of a tabletop role-playing game, I think DrawSteel is for you, because it's certainly for me. Anyway, finally done with that. Next question from RadiusIgnus. Hey Crispy, have you spent any time looking at the 5e 2024 PHB yet? If so, what are you liking or not liking so far? Not only did I look at it, I implemented all the rules into my game, and so far, it still feels like the same game. It's the same thing. I mean, it's cool. I don't think it's that big of a deal, honestly. It's a cool addition to the game that I'm certainly not going to complain about. There were some neat things in there, but in terms of what needed changing, I think the player's handbook was fine then, and it's slightly better now. Great. I think this is going to do way more for people who are getting into the game, who frankly are going to have no idea what it's even doing for them in the first place. This player's handbook is much more readable. It's got more options. It's going to help out the people who are getting into this game. But if you've been playing for forever, yeah, this isn't going to do much for you. And I'm going to be honest, man, I didn't expect it to do much for me. I added the rules, my player said cool, and then we moved on with our lives. Nothing worth getting heated over. Question from Completely Active Gaming Channel. Hey Crispy, about a month ago, I wanted to give DMing a go. So I went about crafting a dungeon for a one-shot. It's a dungeon with a theme and 3 rooms. The session itself is planned to last 3 to 4 hours. It's got puzzles, stealth, and a boss fight with a few mechanics. Am I doing too much? Too little? I don't want to disappoint the party. That's what matters most to me. It looks like you've prepped some solid mechanics, though you do need to be ready for them to take longer than you expect. I sometimes prep out a whole dungeon, a boss fight, etc., and we get through like half of it, because my players want to explore, and I want to indulge in that a little bit. If you don't, you can end up railroading them instead, and that's not a good thing. It looks like you've prepped a lot. Some people, some stupid people, are going to say, why did you prep so much? That's dumb. When in actuality, no, this is a good thing, especially for a new DM. You can't be expected to improvise so much, so you gave yourself material to work with. Good. Just be ready to reflavor, reorder. Be flexible in general about your prep. I prep stuff, but I'm ready to just move it around slightly. I don't need to revamp it off the top of my head, but just like moving a fight I prepared for the kitchen into the pantry is really not all that big of a deal. It's something that makes the session generally more fun for my players, as they get to do a fight that they want to do, but they also get to do it in a locale that they chose. Small things like that can help a lot with your session. I'm gonna be honest, man, I cannot guarantee that, yes, this is enough prep for your party, because I don't know your party. I'm not clairvoyant. I prep enough for my party. That's all I know. So you need to know what your party are like, and the only way to do that is by playing with them. So try out your first session, and then go from there. Next question comes from Random Snapper Person 8008. Favorite rhythm game, if you play any? I've played one actively, and it's Hi-Fi Rush, a rhythm combat game. It is one of my favorite games of all time, and one of my favorite games of 2023, a year with a crap ton of incredible games like Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty and Baldur's Gate 3, but among them, Hi-Fi Rush was an indie darling to me. It has incredible music and incredible mechanics. As a rhythm game, it's pretty hard, at least to me, because it's a fighting game. There's not really a visual rhythm indicator like in some other rhythm games. You can turn one on, but it's so easy to get distracted because you're in the middle of a bloody battle. So it's got its hoops and challenges. I can't see myself going for an S rank in Hi-Fi Rush, but I did play through on super hard mode, did all the boss fights, and it was so much fun. I cannot recommend this game enough. any rhythm game person, any fighting game person, any fan of video games in general, play Hi-Fi Rush. Microsoft was stupid enough to close the studio, though they have been revived and are working on a sequel. So yeah, get hyped for that by playing this game. It's a frickin' darling. Last up, Son of 7 Yoshis. Dang, I hope I'm not too late. Clearly you're not. You've given glimpses into times where people have put you in crazy situations, whether that be realizing your arrow ace or with your success on YouTube. I'm curious to how those experiences shaped you and the way you go about social experiences. So I'm lucky. I don't think I've been in any of the worst situations someone can be in on this job. I haven't had any legit stalkers from YouTube. Any stalking situation I've been in has always been the result of real life stuff and people who know me in real life, not people from YouTube, which is good. If it was people from YouTube, I'd be concerned because that means they put in decent effort to find me, and if they put in that effort, then they might put in just a little bit more effort to come to where I live, and that would be scary. Of course, I do receive harassment, I receive threats, those things happen, especially if I cover a story and the problem player sees it. Those threats don't really affect me all that much. I mean, I come from a family with journalists who have been threatened by people in legitimate positions of power, and they came out the other side of those situations A-okay. Whenever I receive YouTube threats from some frickin' random Redditor, then I'm sorry, man. With what I've seen, I just don't see it as that big of a deal. I mean, if they got the guts, they can meet me. Bike racks after school. But until then, I'm just gonna block them and move on with my life. I have had people be weird about me being arrow ace, about me being Asian. I receive racism and homophobia, queerphobia, I don't know. But anyway, the point is, I receive lots of terrible messages. That story about the dude who did not take kindly to my asexuality, that story really got out of hand to the point where he was fantasizing about me getting SA'd in a conversion sense, and that was just gross. And look, those things, I'd rather not go through those things. But like I said earlier, I've seen stuff, and with the stuff I've seen, it's hard for me to take this kind of thing too seriously as a threat to my safety. Not to say that there couldn't be one. I have seen some crazy stories from YouTubers, streamers, especially women, who have to deal with, insane situations, and I'm just glad I don't have to deal with that. At least not right now, and hopefully not in the future. Bottom line, I'm good. Don't worry about me. I've got it. Man, got me all bummed out. Let's do one last question. Question from I don't know, PR2UC. What's your favorite type of cheese and why? Swiss cheese, because it tastes the best in my sandwiches. Okay, there you go. The mood has been recovered. All right, if you guys enjoyed this episode of Q&Play, then you may enjoy our last episode of Tavern Adjacent, our podcast. We talked to Fall Cosplay about a pretty crazy horror story. It's linked in the cards. I got a new episode coming out this Sunday, so yeah, binge to get ready for that. But hey, before you go, please do leave a like on this one if you enjoyed, and subscribe to Crispy's Tavern so you don't miss any of our content as it comes out. And finally, if you want to leave your own questions or thoughts, go down in the comments down below. If you can't leave a comment, leave the comment "No bot left behind" to reference the game I'm playing in the background and to let me know at the end of the video. In essence, like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you all next time. Farewell.